So let's try to fathom deep into this railway value chain. Are there any triggers for growth, or we are just sitting hoping something to happen? So let's first understand why Indian Railway I'm talking about. Indian Railway is world's fourth largest railway network globally. If you look at their report card on the right, we'll see that the capital outlay has been increasing year on year basis since last 4 years, 5 years. The capital outlay has doubled from 1.3 lakh crore to 2.7 lakh crore is the capital spent on railways, which is a good sign for anybody who is invested or looking to invest into railway sector, because capital outlay is a major driver for growth or money making opportunities into any sectors through stock market. Let's go down into the details of it. So FY25 we saw around 2.62 lakh crore, which was 22.7% of total budgetary capex. So government is spending 100 rupees, then 22.7, roughly 23 rupees is being spent on railway capex out of the total 100 rupees capex, which is 1/4. That makes this sector very interesting. This percentage is around 2.7% more than FY24. How we are going to spend this? Through around 452 railway projects, where the length addition is roughly 49,000 kilometers, which would cost around 7.5 lakh crore. And they are in different stages of planning, sanction, and execution. Just for drawing a parallel, in FY24, we added around 5,500 kilometers. So roughly 50,000 kilometers, roughly 9 years of runway, if you would like to think like that. 8-9 years of growth is there at least there in the pipeline state. So we are not talking about some 1 year, 2 year story. At least 8 years ka yahan pe we are seeing some visibility. New tracks added last year was 5,200 kilometer, while this year it is planned to do 5,500 kilometers in FY25. So they want to match up to FY24 numbers. The target of railway to increase their passenger carrying capacity to 1,000 crore in 4 to 5 years from 800 crore currently. So there are two parts to railway. One is as a passenger carrier. There also they want to expand, and also on the freight side, we would know why freight is interesting. We have been studying about freight side. Also, topping it up with high-speed rail corridor. This is another project which will be allocated a capex around 5.1 lakh crore. So this include dedicated freight corridor DFC. 5 lakh crore is going to be spent in next 5 years, with 12 high-speed rail corridor and are in planning stage. So that would around add 7,200 kilometers. Out of 50,000 kilometers, 7,000 kilometers are into high speed. So high speed is another opportunity for some of the portfolio companies. This is expected to add to rolling stock to cater to increased volume as India is emerging. This is the plate. Now, why railway is an obvious question which we try to answer here. First of all is that railway as a logistic is approximately 30% cheaper than the second cheapest mode, that is road, in a distance about 200 kilometers. So if we have to move anything beyond 200 kilometers, then railway is your way to go, because it saves you cost. Secondly, government की एक जो policy आई है dedicated freight corridor policy, it plans to take railway from 30% of freight share currently being done to 45% in the country. So that is the target of DFC. We'll go dig deeper about DFC in a minute. There are two DFC operational. One is Eastern and second is Western. So roughly 80,000 crore has been spent on Eastern DFC and Western DFC. Eastern DFC is fully operational and Western DFC is still 15% incomplete. 85% it is completed. So once the Western part gets completed, then lots of good movement will happen. Eastern DFC और वेस्टर्न DFC पहले क्यों बनाई गई, उसका लॉजिक भी मैं देना चाहूंगा. बिकॉज ऑल्दो ये तो गोल्डन क्वाड्रिलेटरल में आना था, यानी दो, एक ईस्टर्न, एक वेस्टर्न, एक नदर्न एंड एक साउदर्न बनना था. बट व्हाई फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस वाज गिवन टू ईस्टर्न? बिकॉज on the eastern side we have lots of mining activity happening, and railway is basically a carrier of mine good largely speaking. तो ईस्ट में माइनिंग हो रही थी और उसको नॉर्थ में भेजना था, तो ईस्टर्न DFC was first created. Then western is a place where if you're importing, you are importing largely from the western side of the country, which is JNPT, Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust. JNPT या मुंबई के आसपास के पोर्ट से वहां से स्टार्ट होता है, एंड इट कम्स टू लुधियाना साइड. So which is the demand center. So DFC, Western DFC is 85% complete. If it gets completed fully, then lots of traffic will move to western part. DFC significantly reduced the transit time for freight trains. For example, a container train on DFC averages around 2.44 hours per 100 kilometers compared to 5.25 hours in a regular Indian railway network. 5 hours for 100 kilometers, which means around 18 kilometers पर आवर की एवरेज स्पीड है अगर हम कन्वेंशनल की बात करें, एंड दिस इज गोइंग टू गो अप फ्रॉम 18 टू मोर देन 40 because 2.4 hours it will take. So 18 से 40 is roughly double. So they want to increase the average speed of freight trains to double on DFC, and practically the speed has gone up in DFC. So DFC has become a major driver. And why DFC is first required? Because of the low speed, because the Indian Railway are operating at 18 km per hour, which is very low speed. And that's why the trades are getting stuck. The transit timelines are so high that many businesses are unviable at 18 km per hour. So low speed को tackle करने के लिए DFC is done. Then huge congestion is there on the golden quadrilateral and its diagonal. It just contains around 16% of railway network, but carries more than 52% of a passenger traffic and 58% of revenue earning freight traffic. So that's why there was 4 plus 1, 5 DFCs were planned. So why DFCs are important, you should know. And also it helped to reduce the carbon emission for Indian Railway. So where is future investment lying here? First is the government plans to spend more than 2 lakh crore for the development of more DFC. So far 80,000 crore has been spent, and another 2 lakh crore will be spent on DFC. That's a huge tailwind. There is a 15% jump in capex in FY27. It is going to be 3 lakh crore. So from 2.7 to 3 lakh crore is going to be the capex. So wahi se aayega towards the DFC. 2 detailed project reports have been submitted for East, West, and North South DFC, which was submitted in July 2024. So I think by now the work would have started, because almost 9 months now. It's approved, and I'm supposing that land acquisition and everything would have been happening. So that's where the buck is right now. Goal is to take this logistic cost of India as a percentage of GDP of 10% to 8%. So to reduce the logistics cost to 8%. So currently, whatever we are producing, we are spending 10% of it in transmitting it from one place to another, which is very negative for us as the economy. So this is very central piece of the puzzle of India growth story or Viksit Bharat business model. So what is the demand driver? As I said in my first video when I made on Jupiter way back 2 years back, then I said that the Coal India is the prime customer of Indian Railway. That's why we have to study the coal production. And coal production has reached 838 MT from 700 last time when I checked. 700 to 838 aa gaya hai. Now they are planning to do around 1000 million ton this year, FY26. So this is positive for coal India as well as for Indian Railway. अब उसमें जो कोल जो ट्रांसपोर्ट होता है उसमें so far the equation is very lopsided. Non-road transportation, which is basically railway transportation, has gone up from 72% to 77%. And this is what I had expected to happen. And that's why railway has become a success story, because Coal India is shifting from road to non-road, which is railway. Also, you can see in the rightmost corner, the road is still 50%, but rail has gathered around 30% of the market share, more than 35%. That is leading to higher demands for wagons. So let's come to wagons. So wagons, I have 4 points to talk about. One is that in 2022, the government planned to add 3 lakhs wagon to the network in the long term. So 3 lakh wagon का पूरा plan है. That was the one national rail plan की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. उसमें से फर्स्ट ऑर्डर जो बल्कि ऑर्डर जो किया उन्होंने 90,000 wagons का ऑर्डर किया worth 31,000 crores in 2022. That time we invested into this sector, but we still have to see that this 90,000 wagon ही अभी हुए हैं. अभी 210,000 wagon are still not advertised, not RFQ'd. So वो RFQ स्टेज में नहीं आए. because there is a limiting factor, and that is the capacity. Currently, the production capacity of India is 40,000 wagon per year. But last time, if I check, before 2014, the average wagon production was 13,000. So पहले 13,000 की स्पीड से काम हो रहा था, तो capacity were constrained. That's why you cannot just jump from 13,000 to 40,000 in a year. So it took 2-3 years. Last 3 years has been a huge. There were many idle capacity which got utilized by all the players, major wagon players. Right now we are producing 40,000 wagon per year. So we expect this 90,000 order to get exhausted in this 6, 8, 9 months or a year, and then we'll look forward to another one. So Indian Railway has set a new record with production of 42,000 wagons nearly to boost cargo production, cargo capacity. So now we are the different scale altogether. पहले 13,000 का नंबर था, अब 42,000. So more than 3 times the wagon production has gone up. So the past has not been glorious because we decided that we need to move strategically to long-term orders of 3 years instead of annual orders. So past को उन्होंने correct किया कि नहीं, annual order पहले मिलता था 1,300 per year ऐसे order होते थे. उन्होंने bulk में अभी 90,000 का order इसलिए दिया so that you get your time of 3 years to complete those 90,000 wagons order. So this shifting of annual to 3 years keeps a lot of pressure off from the wagon manufacturers. That has been passed. That has worked well for us. Presently, the average realization of per wagon is roughly 36 lakh per wagon, which is set to increase in the years to come. And why it is going to increase? Because there are certain leaseback schemes has been launched for BTPN wagons, which costs as high as 35 lakh per wagon. Generally, that is used in transporting petroleum products. So government, Indian Railway is trying to grab some share of petroleum transportation also from ONGC and likes of HPCL, BPCL and all. तो अगर वो वाले वैगन बिकेंगे तब तो there is a bonanza for wagon maker because those are very costly, 85 lakh per wagon. So let's look at a company which we have tried to present to you. One is the major one is the Titagarh is the largest producer. Their production capacity is 1,000 wagon per month, which means 12,000 wagon a year. So out of 40,000, they are making around 25-27%. Order book is huge, 12,000 crore. For this data is dated till since 31st December 2024. 12,000 crore is the order book, and passenger to freight ratio is 44 to 56. So they are 56% freight company, which is wagon manufacturing, and 44% is non-wagon, which is passenger side. So we'll look at the passenger side also. So Titagarh is not a pure play wagon company. इनका नाम भी change हो गया है. Now they call themselves Titagarh Rail Systems. So the company plans to maintain its capacity in freight segment. Freight में capacity maintain करना है, और newer segments like metro and Vande Bharat will drive the growth for this business. So what are the key monitorable for us in Titagarh Wagon? Number one is metro. The company has an order book of around 6,800 crore in metro segment, and they are working in multiple project sites like Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Surat. Some order has got delayed, 9 months delay हुआ है, जो कि चाइना की कंपनी से उन्होंने shift किया है into Bengaluru. So that's why there was a delay. But Vande Bharat is where they have collaborated with BHEL, where they have got a contract to supply 80 sleeper Vande Bharat sets, and the first delivery would start from March 2026, which was earlier in June 2025. So यही 9 महीने का जो delay हुआ है, that has dragged the stocks. So we have to track that. But where they are good at is in the backward integration part, where they are working on rail wheel and propulsion technology, which will add to the margins and improve the supply chain for the company. So margin expansion के लिए ये step लिया गया है, which is hugely positive for this company because this company is trying to increase their margin to the next level. Currently, they are operating at 12% kind of margin, 10%, 12%, but they are taking technology from ABB and Siemens and likes of that. So learning the propulsion technology. I have done a deep dive into this part when I made first Titagarh wagon video. So you can watch in that video for understanding this bit more. And then the execution and delays, as I said, there have been delay in the project due to government modifying its requirement into Vande Bharat. Any further delay can impact the profitability of the company. That's Titagarh for you. And if you want to know more on this, then we had made a detailed video, which was launched 30 days back. So you can watch that video. For Titagarh, let's have a look at Jupiter Wagon. So Jupiter Wagon is a company which is kind of number two by capacity almost. FY25 they had production capacity of 9,000 wagons. So they are not expanding into wagon side. Their order book is sufficient for next 1.5 years. They have 50% order catering to public, yani ki in public sector, which is Indian Railway, and 50% is almost private. That's why they have a better margin profile because they are catering to high margin private wagon orders. So that's why that split is important, and that is the reason why Jupiter commands better margin than these guys. And also they are fully integrated players, so they have the casting capability. They have increased focus on private orders. So that is the wagon part of Jupiter Wagons. But they are not just wagon company; they are into different themes also. So key monitorables, number one is rail wheel. They had acquired Bonatrans, which was a rail wheel manufacturing company, for 271 crore from NCLT, and take the capacity to, I think it's NCLT or not, I'm not sure, but they want to take this capacity to 1 lakh wheel set from currently 20,000 wheel set, with offtake agreement with Tatragonka. Tatragonka is a Czech or Slovakian company. So they are the equity stakeholder into this company, into Jupiter also. So it's a strategic buyer, and 50% of it would be exported, and mostly 50% wheel set would be consumed in India. Most of it would be through Jupiter also. So they will be meeting to the demand deficit which is present in the market, because the railway wheel is a problem, a deficit area for all Indian wagon manufacturer, including Titagarh, Jupiter. Texmaco has been doing well because they got the supply from rail wheel factory directly, but others are not able to get. So they will be sourcing their wagon rail wheel from Jupiter Wagon, except Titagarh, because Titagarh has also done a JV with Ramkrishna Forging, जहाँ पे वो rail wheel की factory वो खुद लगा रहे. So this is on Jupiter. They launched a EV light commercial vehicle around 1 ton to 3 ton रेंज में है, जो कि March 3rd 2025 को as they promised they have launched. So that is walking the talk for a price of 10.35 lakh, plan to sell 5,000 vehicle by FY26. So they are advertising their features. Basically they have good features, but pricing is 10 lakhs. So let's see how many they can sell. So that is a key monitorable. Again, this is not a stock recommendation. This, we hold Jupiter Wagon in the portfolio. Now the wagon business doing so well, they want to reduce this wagon business component to less than 50% by FY28, with increased contribution from rail wheel and axle. So they are supplying axle to railway also. They acquired a company called Log9, which is into battery system also. They supplied to Indian Railway also for batteries. So BESS is something which they are good in. They had a very ambitious plans, and they wants to become a 10,000 crore revenue company in the long term. So the company has been walking the talk. Management is very clear-headed, and it's a forward-looking management. So that's why this looks like a good business to me. Texmaco Rail. This is the third company. So let's understand what metrics we can look at this company. Wagon production, they have done around 3,000 wagon per quarter. So roughly 12,000 wagon a year is the capacity, which makes them almost at the highest. They are vertically integrated like Jupiter, with a steel foundry capability of 48,000 metric ton per annum. Order book is 7,600 crores. Good order they are having right now, and they're executing those orders very successfully in current last 2 quarters at least. Private is yet 24% of their total. They were mostly catering to public sector, which is Indian Railway. But now the private exports are growing faster. So they have some technology tie-up with for export also, which are growing. So earlier this used to be merely 12% of the sale. Now it is going to go up to nearly 24%. So इस साल ही है, next year further it can go up. They have the foundry business, which leads to better control of the supply chain for the wagon business. So they have a unique strength. They have a kind of moat into in the form of a foundry, which Jupiter also have. Key monitorables, they are foraying into power EPC, which is basically substation and transmission. TND side में वो करना चाह रहे हैं, which is now constitute 27% of the order book. So as I said, they are getting into domain of skipper and all. They both are Calcutta-based company. That is their new area. They were having these technical qualifying criteria to supply to PGCIL and likes of that into transmission sector. So they are diversifying into power EPC. They already were doing some EPC work for railway. They were doing some work for Delhi Metro also. This is the only company which is expanding on the wagon side capability. So they had acquired Jindal Rail, which is into wagon manufacturing. Jindal Rail had sold 1,400 wagons in 9 months FY25. So roughly 2,000 wagon looks like the capacity of this Jindal Rail. So if we add 2,000 to 12,000, so 14,000 wagon a year could be the maximum capacity one can see into Texmaco, which is the highest in country as we speak. Steel foundry, maybe they are trying to expand by 3,500,000 MTPA from 48 to 83 MTPA, mainly to cater to export market. So they are gearing up for export. So that is the thing to watch out for. They also are trying to transfer their infra rail business and green energy business. So there are some restructuring is ongoing. This transfer to be completed in 12 to 15 months. So there is some spin off and something will happen. So we have to watch out for that. So that's there on the agenda. If you want to have a deep dive on railway microcap, which we discussed exclusively for members, then you can consider joining our membership. If you are not a member yet, you can join now and you can start watching many deeply research videos like this, where this the particular railway microcap is an interesting play. There are two types of membership. Tier 1 is pro membership, where it has 4 benefits. First one is that you will get 2 exclusive members only video per month. You will get 1 members only live stream every month. You will get action oriented market updates. So whatever we think is important for a company, which we have discussed on Sadhan, the membership, we keep updating. So we keep reading through and we keep flipping through newspapers and understanding, and we synthesize. We just try to share our synthesized wisdom with the community we have at Sadhan Pro. So you will get access to that, like con calls mein kya baatein hui and what was meaningful takeaway for con calls or from business updates, which companies share time to time. The members get the priority reply on comments. So this all comes in 599. So in less than 600 a month, you'll get this access. Second is a prime tier, where whatever I said will be included. Apart from this, you will get access to Sadhan watch list, which are the stocks which we are looking at very closely. And they get early access to Sadhan videos, so on time access, and whatever we produce, we try to share just in time to Prime members. And all perks above included into Pro is there. And this membership is available for 1199 only. So we are trying to build a community, and that's the agenda in our mind. So if you have any questions with respect to railway, you can shoot to us right away on the comment segment.
Content of this video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial, investment, or trading advice. The information presented is not a recommendation or endorsement of any particular investment strategy, security, or financial decision. Investing involves risks, and viewers should conduct their own research. The creator of this video is not responsible for any financial losses incurred based on the information provided.